foreign armies, one African country. Why Djibouti? I've spent a long time learning African history, but somehow I never looked into Djibouti, and now I can't stop thinking about it. This tiny country in the Horn of Africa, quiet, overlooked, but it's one of the most strategic places on earth. Why? Because of where it sits, right next to the Bab al-Mandeb Strait, a narrow waterway that connects the Red Sea to the Gulf of Aden, and then straight into the Suez Canal. Over 10% of global trade moves through that route. Oil, gas, cargo ships, billions of dollars every day. If you control that stretch of water, you control the flow of the world. And now here's what shocked me. The USA, China, France, Japan, Saudi Arabia, and Italy, they all have military bases there. Not embassies, bases. Djibouti is the only country in the world where both American and Chinese troops are stationed just miles apart. Why would two global rivals choose to watch each other from our land? Because Djibouti gives them eyes on everything, the Red Sea, the Middle East, East Africa, and the Indian Ocean. And it's not just about protection, it's about power. Yes, the Djiboutian government earns rent from it, but who really benefits? And if conflict breaks out between these powers, whose soil will it happen on? Africa's. When our land is this valuable, why are we the last to profit from it? Should foreign militaries be allowed on African soil? What's your take? This is the Africa you're not shown, but I'm here to show you.
In the last few days, the US quietly deployed troops in Nigeria. American boots are now on the ground. It's a small team, counter-terror support, intel rather than war. But seeing that flag on Nigerian soil was the biggest red flag. Just weeks ago, Nigerian officials said, we'll take help, not occupation, no foreign boots, no external control. We demand respect for our sovereignty. So when did that change? And to be honest, who's going to give us the update? The president, the defense ministry? Where's the public briefing? And what time can we expect it today? This didn't come from Aso Rock. It broke through foreign press. Reuters told us, not Nigerian government, not even the Nigerian press. Guys, I'm not naive enough to believe that the Nigerian government should be live streaming military strategy. But when your people are left guessing, confusion grows and panic follows. I assume that the government has this all under control. I'm always skeptical of foreign intervention in Africa. But when I saw Nigeria wasn't just working with the US, that they were reaching out to Turkey, France, the UK, China, private contractors, joint trainings, it looked more like diversification strategy, multi-angle defense. If one alliance failed, backups were in place. But boots on the ground, that changes that. I mean, how long does it take a Western superpower to eradicate a militia that they were allegedly backing in the first place? 2 months? 3? Who's setting the rules? How long is this presence supposed to last? If they're still here in 60 days, is it still support or is it a shift? And if Africa's biggest economy and largest military is allowing foreign troops, what does that say to the rest of the region? To Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, it looks like surrender. It fractures the bloc. Hands over a foothold. Says when pressure rises, Nigeria bends. It exposes ECOWAS. If this happened with no coordination, then ECOWAS isn't leading, it's lagging. And to those who were cheering for Nigeria to break apart, look at Libya, please. Not how it fell, but what happened after. No unity, no safety, no sovereignty, and people ending up poorer than ever. That's the risk, erosion over time. And I would mention the resources, but that just steers the conversation in a completely different direction. It gets emotionally loaded and makes people think that we're trying to exchange resources for human lives, which is never the case, right? And to anyone outside Nigeria who thinks this isn't your concern, if my beloved Nigeria falls, the continent shakes. Over 220 million people, a top economy, oil, culture. Nigeria helped build ECOWAS. It leads regional security, trade, and influence. Africa needs blocks. It needs continental powers. Nigeria's sovereignty isn't just domestic, it's continental. For Nigeria, this is the moment to close ranks, build public trust, set the terms of every deal, and draw a line between support and control before someone else does it for you. Guys, let's talk in the comment section. What are your thoughts here?
We have breaking news this evening. Reuters has confirmed the United States has boots on the ground in Nigeria, the first military presence on the ground under the Trump administration in the African country. U.S. forces have been dispatched in Nigeria to target ISIS in the country, according to reports. This is a significant escalation. We're not officially at war with Nigeria. Congress hasn't declared war, but yet we have American boots on the ground in Nigeria right now. A military team has been dispatched to the country. It's unclear whether or not Nigeria permitted this. This comes after the United States conducted airstrikes in Nigeria. Now, they're very different things, right? Airstrikes are one thing. Putting boots on the ground in Nigeria is a whole different thing, which means that we could very well see significant military action right now in Nigeria. I will continue to provide you more updates as we get more information. Spread the word and follow along to stay up to date on all the news that you need to know about. More to come soon.
MAGA sent a diplomatic delegation to Mali to try and re-engage the Sahel states. I wonder why. Oh, could it be that their influence in the region has diminished and the Russian influence is growing? Could it be that Mali is number 3 in the world for producing gold? This comes months after MAGA applied visa bans on the Sahel states, and the Sahel states said, say less, we'll do the same for you. Now, if I was Mali and the Sahel states, I'd be very, very, very cautious. American boots are on the ground in Nigeria. Yes, it's a small force, but as we know, Americans put trillions in their military. Even a small force can cause devastating mayhem. You know what I'm saying? Mind you, these are the same people that threatened the Sahel states after they kicked out the French. Yeah? You remember that? They were calling them third world thugs and that they can just send ships and to teach them a lesson because America, greatest military on the damn planet. Yeah. Jokes aside, if there's mutual respect, then I hope this meeting goes well. And I hope they can reconnect and have proper mutual respect. But if you disrespect them, then you get disrespect back. Yeah? It's an eye for an eye thing, okay? This is how people should be moving. Yeah? These AES, they've been silent. Other nations have been kissing MAGA's ass. They're getting shitted on still. Yeah? So you gotta learn to put yourself first and have some self-respect. I understand it's difficult. It's not easy because the sanctions, the aid, the whatever gets cancelled and you're screwed. Yeah? Economically. But you need to put some self-respect on your damn asses. Yeah? All these other African leaders, take note. Okay? But with AES, again, I say be cautious. But of course, you have to welcome them and speak and let's see what go on. Let's see what they have to offer. Okay? But remember, Africa first. Since they're putting MAGA first, you put Africa first. That's all.
The United States has begun a major project to boost its military presence in Kenya with a $70 million project for the expansion of Manda Bay Base in Lamu. The project was officially launched on the 29th of January during a ceremony attended by senior Kenyan and U.S. officials. The focus of the project is a major upgrade of the runway at Manda Bay, a Kenyan Defense Forces installation located near Kenya's border with Somalia and close to key Indian Ocean shipping routes. For years, Kenya and the U.S. troops have jointly operated from the base. Officials say the expansion will allow larger aircrafts to operate from the base, strengthening surveillance, logistics, and rapid response capabilities against armed groups, including terrorists in the Horn of Africa.
After 400 years of slavery, majority of our African leaders today learned nothing. They are corrupt. Because of them, Africans are being colonized again. Instead of Kenya fighting justice for the Kenyan citizens that were being murdered, raped, tortured by the British forces during the colonization. Most of the fertile land today in Kenya also belongs to the British, belongs to the, people who are not Africans. Kenya is inviting more and more of them to come and colonize. What do you think they are going to do in that big military base that Kenya is now trying to build with them? We know that throughout the history is that they are the sponsors of terrorism on our continent. But yet, those so-called leaders close their eyes. They really do not care about the sufferings of the poor Africans. They are inviting these people onto our continent. This is just the sad reality. Instead of getting rid of them, will Kenya have a military base in the United States by going and coming where the United States government don't know what Kenya is going to bring in their country? That will never happen. Why? God, is it what? No. Majority of the problems that we are seeing today on the continent, are our African leaders, to be honest to you.
Oh my God, I don't know who will save Africa. Ethiopia has been reported of hosting a secret rapid support force training camp in the border of Sudan. According to Reuters investigation, they literally say that the camp trains thousands of rapid support force, the paramilitary raid group, including the senior Ethiopia officials, and all this is being sponsored by the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, and it has actually been described as one of the world's deadliest conflict, whereby, according to reports, again, the movement of artillery and combat vehicles route to Sudan through Ethiopia. You all understand the deadly genocide that has been in Sudan for the longest time, whereby even as we speak, a lot of people don't have food, don't have water, don't have anything, don't have even places to call home, courtesy of Ethiopia. So all this long, Ethiopia has been a proxy of UAE. Oh my goodness, I literally don't understand why African nations are being a sellout of their fellow African nations to these white people. Ethiopia. I never saw this coming.
This one is one of the most ridiculous updates I've ever come across. All right, or ridiculous update coming up from my motherland, Ghana. Right. So the Ghana Armed Force somehow landed in partnership with French military for what they call jungle warfare training. So French troops are on ground technically to train our army in what they are calling jungle warfare training, meaning they will be in the jungle and train the soldiers and blah, blah, blah because of illegal mining. That is where the whole ridiculous agenda is hiding. And when you look at the purpose of the training, the Ghana Armed Forces, the military of Ghana we are talking about. See, we are not at war with any superpower. Let me not rush. Yeah. So the main goal of the training is to improve Ghana Armed Forces effectiveness against heavily armed illegal miners who are operating in difficult jungle or difficult jungle terrains where galamsey, illegal mining activity are spreading across. They jointly carry out the exercise at the Achase jungle. I've been in Achase several times. Achase jungle warfare training school in Ghana. The Ghanaian and the French troop are taking part in live firing drills and various tactical jungle operations together. So, because of the fact that illegal mining are operating in or occurring in remote, rugged forest areas, and the miners in our country sometimes, according to the report, they resist the soldiers and the security forces of this country with improvised weapons. So because of that, this requires a coordinated, well-trained military response to fight galamseyers. I'm surprised that after so many years of independence, common people who are doing galamsey, illegal miners, if it has gotten to the level where we need to bring in the French troops to come and help us to fight galamsey, to come and train us before we can fight young boys who are handling weapons, wherever they got the weapons from, and they are mining illegally, destroying our forests and our environment. We need the French troops to come and help our soldiers. Then where is the sovereignty? So it means that our soldiers don't have, for so many years, they don't have the experience to be able to cultivate, tactical experience to fight illegal miners. If we are not at war with superpowers, for example, it is not like Ghana is at war with a superpower coming, a foreign power, and we need training from these people because they have experience, blah, blah, blah. No, galamseyers, because of that, money needs to be used to bring in this French troop, and then we need to waste resources on these French troops to train our soldiers. So if the galamseyers have become so powerful like that, then we are not safe in this country. Are we safe, right? Are we safe? It's just a question from normal citizens. While other people are chasing these people out of their region, Ghana, we are accommodating them. Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, they have chased these people out because these people, when they come, This has been the agenda. They use one hand to be helping you solve the problem and use one hand to be sponsoring the problem from the other side. It has been like that. Are we not reading? We have suddenly forgotten the problem the African continent is in. Ghana government, have you not heard that recently in DRC, the video pop up where the troops who are there to help the Congolese DRC to fight against illegal miners, people who, we are talking about terrorists who went and then took over hold of mining sites when they are supposed to be helping the soldiers fight the people who have taken over the mining site. One of their car capsized only to realize that it was carrying resources loaded. The resources were loaded into the cargo or the ammo car, which is supposed to be carrying people along. Doing military exercise is carrying resources belonging to the Congolese. This thing we are doing, before you realize, these people, when they came ahead in the news that the French troops said they also benefit, okay, they are also benefiting from training with our soldiers and training our soldiers. What is their benefit in this? That is one thing. Whatever attracted them, whatever they are benefiting from, they will keep this problem on so that they can keep getting the benefit. That has been the narrative. Go to Burkina Faso, Mali, and ask these people. Recently also we hear Nigeria, US troop landed in Nigeria. See, this thing, when you involve certain people, they come in to stay to make sure that they will be benefiting and the problem will be continuing. Before you know, you will not be able to solve the problem. What is the meaning of this? This is ridiculous. There's so many years of independence. Our soldiers cannot, they don't have the experience to tackle illegal mining. These young boys in bush. Recently, I heard also that 5 of our forest reserve are under the control of armed men. That one shocked me a lot. Because of the illegal mining, armed groups at illegal mining sites conducting illegal mining is the reason why DRC is where they are today. They somehow, before we realize, they tend to become full-grown terrorists at mining sites, and it became a whole complete fight on its own. So it has gotten to the level where France have to help us fight illegal mining in our country. Then this is completely ridiculous. Now, as we are doing everything possible to make sure that we cure this illegal mining and defeat these people handling weapons, we are bringing these people in. Is the Ghana government not aware? Are you not hearing of the fact that some foreigners, I will not mention them, but for some foreigners are sponsoring armed groups in our regions because of resources? So if you give these people space to be in our forests doing training, then you have given them the space. If maybe in any way they would like to sponsor the people you brought them in to help you fight so that the fight will continue going on, then they will also be in the region and benefiting. They will go behind. It will be easy now to sponsor and supply these people weapons. Like, I don't know. This is one of the dumbest things that come out from Ghana. I'm being honest right here. We need training from the French soldiers to fight illegal mining. This is ridiculous. This is from me, right? It's ridiculous because I have trust in our military a lot. But this one is a lot disappointing. And according to the report, these are newly trained soldiers, okay? These are newly trained soldiers that they will be deployed to other regions. At least by now, our soldiers on the field, or at the camp, at the training centers, they should have the knowledge to cope the... What training did the illegal miners receive at the field? I want to ask. Who is training the illegal miners? People who don't have tactical training, any military training. They are in the forest, mining the resources illegally, destroying our environment. And then you are telling us that you have been under training, you need foreign training now to combat them. Oh, no. This is below the belt, Ghana government. Ghana Armed Forces, this is below the belt. If our soldiers need training from France to combat illegal mining, young boys doing illegal mining, and then somehow they got those some Badagli guns and then they are resisting. If we need training from France, then it simply means that if we are faced with serious situation like real terrorism or something serious, then this one, Russia must come in, China must come in, US must come in, France, everybody must come in to help us then. Now let's flip the coin a little bit. I know many people, when we brought this out, they will say that, oh, this is not about sensationalism. No. These people, they will use everything they have to have excuse to stay in this region because of the fact that they are being chased out of the Sahel. monitoring become difficult. Monitoring what is happening in the region become a little bit tough. It is no longer effective as it used to be. In the Sahel region, in West Africa, this part like this. That is why Nigeria right now, the US troop are on the way over there. Ghana right now, we have French troops here. They are coming to train our people. It's not like we are talking about... even if it is about this bandit from how do you call it, Nigeria that are in our forest, we'll say that okay, perhaps for illegal miners. Already Ghana government, you should understand this. You are doing everything possible to take control of your gold. That is a threat to international communities. That is a complete threat. Go and ask Gaddafi. Go and ask DRC. Go and ask DRC. Go and ask the reason why Patrice Lumumba needs to be taken out of the scene. Go and ask. It is because of the control of the resources. Go and ask why Thomas Sankara needs to be gone. So this thing Ghana government is doing is attracting a lot of things. So involving these people is one of the dangerous things you are doing, by the way. Because you need to keep these people completely away from our forest. Monitor the forest so that no foreign troop anywhere our forest. Because in Nigeria, we hear how these people... somehow, anyhow, they are getting weapons in Nigeria, sponsored by some foreigners. So our forest should be no-go area to any foreign troop or any foreigner. And now we brought them in to come and teach our soldiers and train our soldiers how to combat terrorism. Because it's terrorism. This act is domestic terrorism. Though so long as you are mining and you have a gun in your hand, threatening our security personnel, that is domestic terrorism. If the people at the mining site did not receive any training from anywhere and then they are able to resist our soldiers who are under training, then we have a problem. To the level where we need additional extra training. We need master class to combat them.
Big ships, bigger headlines. South Africa is hosting joint naval exercises with China, Russia and Iran, right here in the Cape Waters. But why is the world watching? It isn't just about military drills. Analysts say that it's a geopolitical statement, showing South Africa's clout in the Indian Ocean and its ties to the BRIC bloc. Over the next few weeks, warships, helicopters and crews will run coordinated operations. Everything from rescue drills to advanced maneuvers. For South Africa, it's a chance to sharpen skills and build regional influence. But it is not without controversy. Opposition parties and the Western diplomats are watching closely, worried about South Africa's alignment with powers like Russia and China. The exercises have sparked debate, and foreign policy and who stands with who on the global stage is centered to that. For most South Africans, these ships are a distant spectacle, but the story shows one thing clearly. South Africa is playing a bigger role in global geopolitics, and the world is noticing. So, big drills, big questions, and plenty of eyes on our shores. That is your quick look at South Africa hosting China, Russia, and Iran. Follow for more insights over the coming weeks.
Nigeria better off united or divided? Nigeria is 230 million population with the largest groups of insurgencies and extremists and all sorts of bandits. Nigeria isn't looking good at all, no matter how you look at it. Welcome to our channel. I'm Cyrus. When you see me wear this apparel, ladies and gentlemen, know this, that there is either war or bad times ahead. Just yesterday, I did a video concerning the first batch of U.S. specialist troops arriving in Nigeria for combat purpose alongside the Nigerian military. The Nigerian government, remember, requested for this, and the U.S. Army showed up on the 2nd of February. And just last night, ladies and gentlemen, gunmen, upon hearing this news, unknown gunmen, they said, entered 2 villages in a state called Kwara and killed many people. Earlier reports last night provided a death toll of about 30 people. And just this morning, the number is said to have reached 162 people. Ladies and gentlemen, the people of Nigeria have to either take matters into their own hands or request for more U.S. boots on the ground at this point. It cannot be that a group of armed men can just walk into people's homes in their villages at night, set them on fire, and open fire on them as they rush out. It cannot be. This level of wickedness towards innocent people, unarmed civilians, both young and old, is by far beyond comprehension, ladies and gentlemen. How can this be when there isn't any type of provocation? How does this make sense, ladies and gentlemen? Is there any value on the lives of Nigerians at this point? And I cannot make sense. One thing I couldn't make sense of is how Nigerians were rather expressing the excitement on different social media platforms about an artist winning a Western Music Award than speaking about crimes happening in their home country. This is not normal, ladies and gentlemen. There is a threshold that must not be broken. The US soldiers are on the ground. Yes, they are. But if this is how things are going to turn out to be, ladies and gentlemen, then perhaps every Nigerian, specifically the civilians living in nearby states from the north central to the northeast, northwest, and southwest, they should take up their protection into their own hands at this point. You need to arm yourself as a Nigerian at this point to stay safe if you live on that side of the country. Your national army cannot protect you. And here is how I know this. These figures I'm going to share with you will make you even worry the more for Nigerians. In 2024, all African countries together spent about $52.1 billion on their militaries. This was an increase of around 3% compared to the previous year. Now, this is a report coming from Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, ladies and gentlemen, a very widely respected independent research institute that tracks global defense budget all across the world. In their report, ladies and gentlemen, which they publish in Trends in World Military Expenditure Report for 2024, Africa accounts for roughly only 2% of global military spending. Only 2%. We are the lowest in spending when it comes to military. Now, this is the disturbing part pertaining to Nigeria. Nigeria is 230 million population. Nigeria is the largest population in Africa with the largest groups of insurgencies and extremists and all sorts of bandits. And yet, the Nigerian government only spent $3 billion on its military last year. Now, let me give you the African list to give you a wider perspective. Algeria leads in military spending in Africa with up to $25 billion in last year. It's followed by Morocco, who spent up to $13 billion. Egypt is third and Nigeria is fourth. The largest military spender in Africa is by far Algeria, and they only have 47 million population with less recorded attacks. But the largest population in all of Africa with the most recorded attacks year on year of all sorts is rather spending only up to $3.2 billion on their military for security reasons. Does this show any type of commitment on the part of the Nigerian government in dealing with the problem, ladies and gentlemen? Let's be honest with ourselves. If soldiers are deployed, they must go with their supplies, ladies and gentlemen. They will need the ammunitions and equipment and vehicles to make their mission successful. Where would it come from if not from government spending? But when you turn to look at how small their budget is, talking about Nigeria, for this purpose, you sigh in despair. I just sigh in despair. You instantly become hopeless. And that's what I'm feeling right now about Nigeria. More soldiers need recruiting in Nigeria. More military equipment need to be brought in Nigeria. There is an imminent need for more military weapons and aerial intelligence. Nigeria, $3 billion for a country nearly the size of Tanzania, but having the population of Egypt, Kenya, Uganda, and Senegal combined, only $3 billion is a joke, ladies and gentlemen. That $3 billion will only be good for only 1 month, only 1 month. If they are seriously looking at tackling this issue, that $3 billion only lasts them 1 month. That $3 billion is a drop in the ocean. For your information, if the corrupt loopholes in Nigeria are closed for just 1 month, I promise you this, Nigeria will have more than $20 billion to take care of their insecurities if they can shut their corrupt holes, their loopholes, for just 1 month. But the government cannot do it. In fact, there are reports of how Nigerian politicians use these same assailants or bandits to attack places where they suspect don't support their cause. There are many of such reports all over the place. You don't even know who to trust at this point anymore in Nigeria. The entire thing is like a jungle where only the strong survives. Those who have the money and can afford to hire extra armed security go for it. And those on the down low are left to their faith, ladies and gentlemen. And the problem is, those on the down low form the vast majority of Nigeria's population. More than 100 million Nigerians, according to World Bank reports, live below the poverty line. More than 100 million people, I said. If they are unable to eat 3 times a day or spend $2.15 per day, more than 100 million people, what is the guarantee they can fight these bandits on their own, ladies and gentlemen? With which weapons? Let's be honest. It is indeed a mess. Nigeria isn't looking good at all, no matter how you look at it. With the presence of these American soldiers on the ground, things can easily escalate and get worse, or it might force the hand of the Nigerian government to show more commitment to solving the problem, which I doubt, ladies and gentlemen. Things are about to take a complete turnaround. I just hope it turns around for the good, because if it goes wrong, everybody will be affected. Many people are putting forth arguments supporting the idea of a Nigeria broken into 3 different countries. Many people. Some say that that's the only legit solution to a sustainable peace in that region. These arguments are coming from Nigerians and outsiders. It is a concern I need your take on in the comment section. Is Nigeria better off united or divided? I'm only asking. Can Nigeria's current setup bring about peace, ladies and gentlemen? Is there hope for a country of over 371 ethnic groups speaking more than 500 distinct languages, and who are completely polarized in their religious beliefs and have corruption as the most fundamental source of survival? Is this sustainable, ladies and gentlemen? Is there any hope in such a situation, ladies and gentlemen, with all that I've described? And should they remain together? Your comments are needed, and be civil whilst you do it. I have a theory. Listen to this theory. Nigeria, with the assistance of the U.S. forces right now, in this year is going to be the year of experiments. That's how I see it. In my theory, which is very simple, if more U.S. troops are deployed into Nigeria by the end of this year, there will be a new conversation between the Nigerian government and the U.S. government. And this new conversation will center on either establishing a U.S. military base in Nigeria, maybe in the north, or the situation escalating even more. This is my theory. And mark my words, one of these is about to happen. The conversation will begin to change the moment more U.S. soldiers are being sent there. It will change. This might end up with a U.S. military base in Nigeria. And when that happens, ladies and gentlemen, a new, bigger problem will begin. Mark my words. And this will be the new, bigger problem. The AES will be threatened, ladies and gentlemen. Things are not looking good at all. And all these could have been avoided if the Nigerian government took national security matters a bit more seriously. If it happens that a military base of some sort is established in Nigeria, the AES, take my word for it, will be the next target. Ladies and gentlemen, AU troops should have been on the grounds. ECOWAS troops should have been on the grounds. Nigerian troops should have been on the grounds. We should have been solving our own problems in Africa. This is not looking good. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not looking good at all. And I pray my analysis are wrong. And may the good Lord help us all. My name is Cyrus, and this is Tuntum Network. If you appreciate this episode, kindly like and subscribe and click on the bell for more. I'll see you in the next one. Let's pray for Nigeria, folks, and let's wish them well. I'll see you in the next one, like I said. It is bye-bye for.
So, my good people, is the West losing Africa? That's the big question that we're going to talk about in today's video. Africa is building new partnership, and that is in terms of military partnership. And what it's doing is that it's not leaning or it's not that much centered on the West anymore, like how it used to happen traditionally. For so many years, the security playbook on the continent looked very predictable. Western troops, Western influence. But now, as we speak today, February 11th, 2026, the script is flipping upside down. That is because Russia, China, Turkey, Iran, and even the regional African alliances are stepping into the picture in ways that we have never ever seen before, in ways that we have never ever imagined. And you know what? Americans are talking. Of course, we expect some of them to be confused, some of them to be concerned, and we expect some of them to say that, well, what did we expect at the end of the day? And it's not just Americans who have a say in this. It's just all the people in the world. It's people that are reacting in so many parts of West Africa and also Central Africa. Some of the governments like Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, they have ended the existent military agreements with Western countries, which is really awesome. And in some cases, foreign Western troops have been asked to leave, and that we already know it's Burkina Faso. At the same time, there are new deals that are being made, and these include buying military equipments, getting proper training, and working together on security. So all this that we just mentioned is not happening by accident. It's a choice. Okay? So many African leaders say that what they want is just more options. They don't want to be in this situation whereby they have only one option, and that is because they signed some shagala bagala agreement the time they were given independence. Not even really independence, just a flag and a national anthem. So many African leaders do not want to depend on one group or just a country, They want partnerships that they believe fit their own goals and interests. At the end of the day, you know what? Politics is all about interest, right? And it's politics that rule the world. And of course, this is where the debate begins in America, because Americans are reacting crazily. Some of these Americans, they see this as a serious warning. They believe that America is losing influence in Africa, which is true. Slowly by slowly, it's gonna take so many years, but at the end of the day, they lose the influence in Africa. They also believe that most important resources could actually fall under the control of rival countries like Russia, China. Remember, Russia is really supporting Africa military-wise. And what they also believe is that there could be new partnerships that could actually change global power balances. And that is what they do fear the most, especially the leadership of America or of the West. So for so many Americans, they actually see this as not being a competition between powerful nations, but they see it as a competition within the world powers. However, we have these other types of Americans who view the whole situation very differently. And of course, they are asking so many questions. For instance, they are asking, like, did the US foreign policy push Africa away? Did it really push Africa away? Were past partnerships fair and balanced? Those are the questions they're asking. I don't know what you think about that. If you could ask me, Personally, I believe and I know that the partnerships that existed were not or is not, because it's still in existence, is not fair and balanced. Otherwise, most of our leaders wouldn't have really hated a partnership and opting, to work with other countries, of which if they try to work with other countries or with other power plays, then they apply sanctions, they don't want to work with you. And another question that is being asked, did America assume that Africa would always stay aligned with the West? Maybe not, maybe. Okay, some people believe that African countries are simply acting in their own interest, just like any other country in the world. Even if it was you, would you have acted in the interest of someone else or in your own interest? So, from an African perspective, and I need you to understand that this is not about picking sides, it's about having choices. Okay? Some leaders are basically saying that if you can work with Turkey for drones, China for infrastructure, Russia for military training, and still trade with Europe and America, I mean, why not? However, these agreements that we used to sign, or our leaders used to sign, they limit us from working like that. Unless if you're just a business person and you just do it as a business person, but as a country, it's a mess. And of course, what African leaders want is a more independent mindset. Many young Africans feel confident about building their own future on their own terms, not on the terms of the colonizers. Remember, they introduced a education system that was meant to make us, be employed, not to be creative, not to be innovative, and it really affected so many Africans till date, unless if your leaders were smart at some point and they came up with another system that encouraged innovation, critical thinking. So at the end of the day, we can't really blame ourselves on some of the things that, were meant to lead us into a predetermined direction. And of course, many young African people, what they want is that as much as they want to build their future on their own terms, or we want to build our future on our own terms, we also want to choose partners independently, not dependently. So that growing confidence among the young people of the African heritage is actually getting global attention, because who expected that, in the year 2026, 2023, 2025, things will change. African leaders will have the courage and say that we really don't want you in our country, just leave and go. So there are so many reasons as to why, these military partnerships are very important. And, when we talk about military partnership, it's not just about soldiers, weapons, no. Because at the end of the day, military itself affects so many things. It affects information sharing, trade routes, access to natural resources, political influence, long-term global power, and so many other things. So when military relationships change, of course, global power can shift terribly. And I think this is why Americans are paying attention and they really want to know what is happening. Africa is very important for the future, by the way, or to the future. That is because of the young people, of the young population in Africa. That is because of the growing markets in Africa and valuable resources in Africa. So what's the big question in this story today? I mean, do we take this as a temporary change, or is Africa moving permanently away from Western military influence? What do you think? Of course, some people will be like, this is a wake-up call, especially for the United States of America. They need to build stronger relationships based on respect and equality. And of course, some also will be like, you see, America, it still has a strong influence, and that this shift itself may not be as dramatic as it seems. But of course, there is one thing that is very clear, and that is Africa is speaking with more confidence than it did like 10 or 5 or 20 years ago or 50 years ago. And Americans are starting to realize that partnerships today are based on choices and not assumptions. So basically, this story is not about heroes or villains. It's about power, it's about independence, it's about a continent shaping its own future. And whether people see it as a problem, an opportunity, or simply a natural change in global politics, one thing is certain, and that is Africa is not waiting to be chosen anymore. Africa is choosing herself. Thank you so much for watching up to this point. I appreciate your presence. I'll see you in the next video.